esteemed speakers and moderators, participants, as well as our partners from the African Development Bank, the NESG, the Afreximbank, IFC, Africa 50, to mention a few. And importantly, the private sector players that have continued to show commitment to the cause of Icrc and insight and helping shape the future of infrastructure delivery in Nigeria. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, as we deliberate over the next 2 days, I urge us all to be bold in our ideas, deliberate in our engagement, and patriotic in our resolve. The work of nation building is neither ceremonial nor convenient, but it is urgent, it is collective, and it is ours to do. I thank you all for listening to me. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you very much, our DG, for that very warm welcome address. The work of nation building indeed is not convenient, but it is ours to do. Just a reminder, we hope that by virtue of this summit, not just our DG speech, that we remember that Nigeria is indeed open for business and ready for partnership. Dr. Jobson Owalefo has sort of set the groundwork to give us an insight into what the Icrc is doing, where they started from, where they are, and what the projections for the future are. So we want you to join us on this journey. We'll take you through a video documentary of the Icrc. So open up your mind, please place your attention on the multimedia screen and enjoy this video.
We are about to accelerate our governing efforts to move forward, realizing our best aspiration for Nigeria.
Delivering renewed hope. Nigeria's infrastructure transformation under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Nigeria, the land of promise and potential. From the bustling cities to the serene countryside, this nation is certainly on the move. Yet, at the dawn of the 21st century, Nigeria faced a defining challenge. Years of underinvestment and maintenance neglect left a widening gap. The federal government in 2005 established the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission, ICRC, under the ICRC Act. The mission to regulate, facilitate, and accelerate private sector participation in Nigeria's infrastructure journey. The ICRC became the gatekeeper of public-private partnerships, PPPs. The ICRC has delivered transformational projects that speak to the power of partnerships. Gariki Hospital, Abuja, a benchmark for world-class PPP-driven healthcare, achieving Nigeria's first kidney transplant under a PPP model. Lekki Deep Sea Port, a $361 billion economic catalyst that elevates Nigeria as a regional trade hub. Import Duty Exemption Certificate, IDEC platform, a digital revolution in trade policy administration that curbs fraud and enhances revenue transparency. These milestones laid the groundwork for the next leap, one defined by bold presidential leadership and a renewed national vision. Under the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR, Nigeria has entered a new era, one of decisive reforms, investor confidence, and infrastructure-driven economic expansion. President Tinubu's bold ambition is clear: build a resilient $1 trillion economy powered by public-private partnerships that work.
The $1 trillion economy is possible, and we are going to do that.
In 2024, President Tinubu appointed Dr. Jobson Osodionowalefo as Director General of the Icrc, a technocrat, a certified PPP expert, and a visionary leader with over 2 decades of hands-on experience in infrastructure regulation and development.
The President in the appointment letter charged the DG to ensure absolute dedication and probity in the management of the Icrc and in pursuit of its strategic objective of accelerating investment in national infrastructure through the innovative mobilization of private sector funding.
Armed with a 6-point agenda, Dr. Walefo is championing process efficiency, faster project delivery, and measurable impact, fully aligned with Mr. President's reform priorities. President Tinubu's leadership has already unlocked a new wave of game-changing PPP projects across sectors. Kashimbila Hydro and Agro-Allied Airports, a regional catalyst combining aviation, agriculture, and power in Taraba State, northern Nigeria. Medipol projects promoting local pharmaceutical manufacturing and ensuring equitable access to quality health care. Icrc Gorge Dam revitalization for power, irrigation, and ecotourism in Oyo State, southwest Nigeria. The Dasin Hausa Dam, located in Fufure local government area of Adamawa State, northern Nigeria, poised to address perennial flooding, agricultural resilience, safeguard communities, and power the next generation.
The Dasin Hausa Dam is a long-proposed multi-purpose dam. Originally planned in the early 1980s as a buffer to absorb excess releases from Lagdo, the Icrc has launched efforts to fast-track the dam's construction via a public-private partnership to help address chronic flooding, boost power supply, support irrigation, and stimulate economic growth in the region. This renewed momentum marks a bold and efficient step by President Tinubu towards turning the long-stalled project into reality, thereby saving lives.
Maritime Electronic Management System, MEMS, introducing digital tracking to revolutionize port efficiency and maritime revenue management. Federal Coastal Fishery Terminal, Borokiri, South Nigeria, enhancing domestic fish production, product authentication and tracking system, parts, protecting lives, e-immigration, e-gates, for safer, faster, international travel. Renewed Hope Housing Initiative, affordable housing through innovative PPP models. These projects are transforming Nigeria's infrastructure story from stagnation to acceleration, from ambition to delivery. At Icrc, we are builders of tomorrow's Nigeria under the leadership of Mr. President. This is a defining era for Nigeria, a time of bold reforms, smart investments, and collaborative governance. Under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's renewed hope agenda, infrastructure is no longer a promise. It is a national mission. Together, we are building roads, power stations, ports, homes, healthcare systems. We're building a Nigeria where no one is left behind. We call on investors, partners, and patriotic Nigerians. Join us. Together, let's build a legacy. Together, let's deliver renewed hope.
There is no doubt that the renewed hope agenda is working for all Nigerians, and we all must be a part of it. Next, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we will be receiving goodwill messages. And please join me to welcome, first to speak, a gentleman who is an advocate for institutional reform and efficiency in public service delivery, has been voted over and over again as one of the best ministers appointed by His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Please welcome Dr. Olubunmi Tunji Ojo, Honorable Minister of Interior, for his goodwill message. Honorable Minister, you're welcome.
Your Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, ably represented by my leader, Alhaji Kashim Shettima, GCON, Your Excellency, the governors here present, Your Excellencies, my colleague, ministers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and of course, all members of the diplomatic corps and senior members of government. May I seize this opportunity to first of all congratulate His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for the wonderful reforms that we're seeing within infrastructural sector in Nigeria. May I also seize this opportunity to also congratulate my leader, the amiable Vice President, for the evident improvement in terms of our ease of doing business, as ably seen with the works of PEBEC, even though we're not here for PEBEC, but at least we know that the output of PEBEC is one of the major inputs for the Icrc. If there is no ease of doing business, if people are not comfortable in coming to do business, people will not go to Icrc for concession arrangement. So, Dr. Jumoke, thank you for the good job you did. We have to appreciate you for that. And of course, when it comes to the Icrc, for us in the Ministry of Interior, we've been very lucky with the understanding in terms of PPP. I think a lot of the reforms we've been able to do has been due to public-private partnership. And of course, we know the fact that no country develops at this rate, not even in China, not in America, not anywhere in the world, without the private sector. And of course, the Icrc has a major role to play in that regard. And under this particular administration, we can see what is happening. The infrastructural reforms, it's like rewriting history. It's like it's like rebranding the destiny of Nigeria. We can see the Lagos Calabar Coastal Road. We can see what is happening. We can see what is happening with our power sector. We can see what is happening at our airports. We can see what is happening at our immigration points. We can see what is happening with the power sector. We can see what is happening even within the medical sector. It shows that this is a government that understands what it takes to take Nigeria out of the woods. And I have to say this, I'm not surprised. People might be surprised with the level of progress we're making, but personally, I'm not surprised. When you have an accountant, a private sector-driven man as the president, and you have a banker, an economist as a vice president, if you don't expect economic development, then you sabi. So for us, we are with you. That's the fact, because we've never had it this good. You know, two eggheads within the financial sector. And here we can see the reforms, which shows that when you hand over power to people that understands what power can be used for, then the result will be very secured, and we can see the result in Nigeria today. So DGICRC, I want to congratulate you. Mine is a goodwill message, is to congratulate you and thank you for your partnership with what we're doing together in immigration. We can see our e-gate project. We can see our data center, which is one of the biggest we have in Nigeria today. The 8.3 petabyte, they are all PPP projects. You can see what is happening even with regards to our value interior optimization system solutions. All is due to your cooperation. Even with the Nigerian Correctional Service, now with AeroGym, we can now produce all our kits, our shoes, and everything without needing to export anymore. So that is a PPP arrangement. Thank you, DG Icrc, for all these things that you are doing. Even our guard management system, it's all about PPP. And of course, other solutions that we still have in the offing. Because we understand government cannot provide all the resources. That is the truth. The private sector must come and share risk and also share profit. And that's what partnership is about. Thank you for providing the platform. And lastly, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, I want to thank you for the support that you've given to the private sector to excel. Thank you for the unification of the exchange rate. Thank you for the removal of the subsidy. Thank you for giving us an enabling environment to see that the Nigeria that we will be handing over to our children will be greater than the Nigeria that our own parents handed over to us. Thank you for these sacrifices. God bless you, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo. And in the same breath, we want to say thank you for making travel processes easier. Okay, I'll be moving on now, but before then, whilst he was speaking, we had someone walking, so can we please recognize the presence of His Excellency, the Governor of Ondo State, Mr. Lucky Olumisa Aiyedatiwa. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. And now we'll be moving on still with the goodwill messages. At this point, I'd like to welcome a powerhouse in global development finance whose career has been dedicated to creating pathways for inclusive growth, business transformation, and private sector empowerment across Africa. Please welcome with me the Regional Director, Central Africa and Anglophone West Africa for IFC, Dr. Dalia Khalifa, as she comes forward for her goodwill message. Please a round of applause for her as she comes forward.
Thank you. Good morning. Excellency, Your Honorable Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Honorable Kashim Shettima, GCON, Excellencies, Governors and Leaders of Government, members of the Diplomatic Corps, ladies and gentlemen, I rest on previous protocols. Thank you so much for having me with you here today. And as a daughter of Africa, I'm very proud to be speaking to you about this very important topic on how we can collectively generate and mobilize more private sector investment to bring about the jobs and the economic development for the people of Nigeria. So your leadership on this topic is most commendable, and I thank you for having this event. It is truly an honor to be here, not just to deliver remarks, but to affirm our shared commitment to unlocking Nigeria's full potential through ambitious and well-executed public-private partnerships. This summit brings together people who can make it happen, policymakers, investors, and key institutions. And what at stake is very clear. We collectively need to work together to accelerate growth, improve service delivery, and the essential services to all Nigerians. Over the next 2 decades, it is estimated that Nigeria needs the equivalent of $2 trillion to close its investment gap, including spending on physical infrastructure and other key aspects for economic development. In an environment where public money is scarce, which is a reality across the world, by the way, mobilizing private capital is critical. Focusing on private capital through public-private participation and partnerships can bring this critical gap to a close. At IFC, we believe that well-structured PPPs are not just a financing tool, but they're a catalyst for change. They crowd in private capital, they enhance efficiency, and unlock innovation in public service delivery. But to work, PPPs must be designed for success, with risks fairly allocated and returns that reward performance, not shortcuts. Done right, PPPs inject new capital, upgrade infrastructure, improve service delivery, but free up public funds to invest in other priorities such as education, healthcare, and critical infrastructure. The ripple effect is real and it is measurable. To unlock the full potential of PPPs, Nigeria will continue, I have no doubt, to strengthen its institutional and regulatory environment, because an enabling, transparent, and predictable business and regulatory environment is the mobilizer of investment, as we heard the Honorable Minister of Interior speak. In fact, doing business is critical. That means embedding transparency, efficiency, and investor-friendly policies across the project cycle. A strong framework does indeed send a message, as we have heard in the previous speaker, that Nigeria is open to business and serious about the results, and it has no time to lose. At IFC, we see clear signs that this is exactly what the Nigerian government and leadership is embarking on. And we commend recent government efforts such as Icrc's work in updating the PPP guidelines and the publication of a transparent PPP project pipeline on the Icrc website to enhance planning and visibility. But let's go further. Let's reduce red tape, speed up delivery timelines, and enhance competition, which will only improve the performance overall and will boost investor confidence and unlock new flows of investment. Investors follow predictability. They invest where contracts are binding and where disputes are resolved swiftly and fairly. That's why we welcome the government's 2023 draft national arbitration policy, aimed at making Nigeria the default seat for public arbitration. This sends a powerful message. Nigeria is serious about fair, timely, and transparent resolution. And this is exactly what investors are looking for. IFC is proud to be a long-term partner in Nigeria's PPP journey. Through our transaction advisory team, we're working with key government ministries to translate national priorities into bankable investment projects. And we have already dedicated an experienced team here in Abuja to work closely with the government counterparts. For example, in 2025, with the Ministry of Finance Incorporated, we were proud to support Nigeria's asset monetization program. Led by MOFI, BPP, and Icrc, it is a bold initiative to turn underutilized state and public assets into engines of economic growth. IFC is proud to be supporting this program to unlock the value of the national-owned assets and attract private expertise, inject fresh capital into the economy, and free up public finances for priority sectors. If implemented fully, this asset monetization program will be a cornerstone to Nigeria's fiscal transformation and will accelerate the accelerated stabilization and advancement plan. We are also very happy to be discussing programs with the Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning to develop PPP projects aligned with the National Integrated Infrastructure Master Plan, which envisions up to 2.3 trillion in projects in Nigeria by 2043. And we hope to work with the ministry to identify high-impact PPPs and other pre-feasibility assessments. We're also working to make sure that travelers to Nigeria have airports that are welcoming to the 15 million travelers to this country. Working in power, and I hear you, working in power to make sure the Federal Ministry of Power can explore PPPs and other important assets. Together, IFC will help the government of Nigeria achieve its objectives, which we already see they are well on to doing. But IFC does more than just provide advisory services. We also put our money where our mouth is. Last year, IFC brought in $5 billion to Nigeria in investments and financing. In key examples, for example, is a $1.3 billion a bond for IHS and $1.3 billion for LMA fertilizer, and we will continue to do such kind of activities. IFC is committed to being a strong and solid partner for Nigeria, and I really thank you very much for welcoming us here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Dahlia. Thank you. Next, we'll move on swiftly to invite the Vice President of the Private Sector Infrastructure and Industrialization Africa Development Bank. Please welcome Mr. Solomon Kwanyo for a brief goodwill message. We would like to also plead with all our speakers to please make your speeches brief. We're privileged to have the Vice President. He's very busy, and there are a couple of other things he would need to do. Please welcome Mr. Solomon with a round of applause. Thank you very much. Welcome, sir.
Your Excellency, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, ably represented by Your Excellency, the Vice President of Nigeria, Alhaji Kashim Shettima, GCON, governors of Nigerian states, including my state governor from Ondo State, who was earlier recognized, members of the National Assembly, esteemed colleagues from the private sector, development partners, and all stakeholders, I stand on existing protocols. Good morning. Your Excellency Shettima, yesterday, when you opened the Africa Sovereign Investor Forum annual meeting, you identified your pride in wearing traditional attire. And you looked at the audience, and all of us were in suits. And the only other person in traditional attire was Professor PLO Lumumba. And you decided that you're going to take a picture with him. So today, I wore my own traditional. Produced in Lekki Phase 1 by my tailor. So I am going to plead for a picture with you, Your Excellency. Thank you. The theme, I am deeply honored and privileged to be invited here. And the African Development Bank is your bank. Nigeria is the largest shareholder in the African Development Bank, for some of you who don't know that. And please, we are your bank and we are at your service. The theme, Unlocking Nigeria's Potential, the role of public-private partnerships in delivering the Renewed Hope Agenda, encapsulates deep insight that while government remains the cornerstone to national development, the challenges and ambitions they face demand a collaborative effort. Now more than ever, partnerships are not optional, they are essential. So at the African Development Bank, we have long recognized the pivotal role of infrastructure as a catalyst for inclusive growth, regional integration, and economic resilience. The bank estimates the infrastructure financing gap to be between $70 and $110 billion per year across all sectors. This is far beyond what governments can finance alone. It is therefore critical to mobilize both the public and private sectors and the MDBs and DFIs like the African Development Bank and also the IFC to work together through well-structured, transparent, climate-resilient, and commercially viable PPPs. In this regard, we at the African Development Bank have made PPP development a strategic priority. We have adopted a comprehensive PPP strategic framework that guides our interventions across three key pillars: enabling environment, project preparation and transaction support, and mobilizing capital and de-risking projects. These pillars enable us to provide catalytic finance and credit enhancement, foster and attract private sector investments in projects and programs, build capacity within government and private sector to collaborate with other DFIs. I just want to provide some examples of what we are doing and what we've done that are actually relevant to Nigeria. So one, we are working with other partners on the Lagos-Abidjan Corridor Highway. And this project is really going to be done through PPPs. And it's a major project for regional integration, and it allows Nigeria's economic development to actually expand beyond just the domestic market, because Nigeria is definitely the leading country in West Africa. West Africa's development goes where Nigeria goes. Africa's development goes where Nigeria goes. We were also the first to take the risk in terms of multilateral development banks on the Lekki Toll Road. While that project has faced challenges, we've learned lessons from it. And as we look at, new road PPPs, the lessons of Lekki, the Lekki PPP, the Lekki Toll Road PPP would apply. We're also looking at urban transport in Lagos State in terms of the metro rail, the bus rapid transport system. We're also looking at PPPs in industrial parks in about 28 different states. These are the specialized agro-processing zones, which is a flagship for AfDB. But we don't only stay at the point of designing, designing PPPs. We're also really looking to deliver solutions in Nigeria to harness the private capital embedded in the pension funds, the life insurance investment pools, and other savings pools. And this is why, along with NSIA, we created InfraCredit, which to date has mobilized about $500 million equivalent in Naira for funding infrastructure bonds here in Nigeria. So we stand by you. Thank you very much, DG Icrc, for the great work you're doing. We've been involved with the Icrc since inception. DG Mansour Ahmed, was the pioneer. The late Shudi as well. We've been working with Icrc. We'll continue to do that. I just want to leave you with one message. PPPs are complex long-term contracts. They need to be designed properly, and they need to be designed to really survive different political administrations, because by their very nature, they are long-term. So we need to take our time in designing this, implementing what I call the low-hanging fruits, let investors experience the success of these early projects, and they'll have greater confidence in coming into other projects. So that's my key message. We at the African Development Bank will be here to support our biggest shareholder, and I thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Vice President, Private Sector Infrastructure and Industrialization, AfDB, Solomon Kwena. Thank you very much for that speech. And just running us through the projects that have been carried out, it was very interesting to hear about a number of interesting work that has been done, such as the Abidjan-Lagos corridor, and just highlighting the fact that it's not a sprint, right? It's a long-term journey that we must pay particular attention to. At some point during today's summit, we'll also be facilitating conversations about how we can leverage PPPs and also explore innovative financing for leveraging PPPs. We have brought some of the finest speakers and key stakeholders in these sectors that can help drive the conversation with our panel session, and interestingly, would also afford you the opportunity for questions and answer. And now to deliver the next goodwill message, I'd like to welcome someone who has been a very important part of the work that we're doing here. He's a man with deep expertise in infrastructure finance across Africa and a key figure driving project development on the continent. Please welcome with me the Director of Project Preparation Finance at Afreximbank. A round of applause for Mr. Zito Alfayo as he comes forward to deliver his goodwill message. Can we please give him a round of applause? And also would like to mention again to remind us that when the panel session is going on, if we have questions, we'll be glad to take them. We're also streaming live, so you can help us. Please spread the word.
His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, President of the Republic of Nigeria, ably represented by His Excellency Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON, Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, allow me to stand on the protocols established. Let me first begin by conveying warm greetings from Professor Benedict Orama, President and Chairman of the Board of Directors of the African Export-Import Group. Regrettably, due to earlier planned commitments, he is unable to be here in person today. He, however, extends his hearty congratulations to Dr. Jobson Iwalefo, the Director of the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission, on this auspicious occasion. We'd like to thank the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission, our gracious host, and the diligent organizers of this summit for according Afreximbank an opportunity to deliver this goodwill message. Afreximbank cherishes its close working relationship with the federal government of Nigeria and the Icrc, and this is a relationship that will continue to deepen and broaden in order to achieve our shared objective of structurally transforming Nigeria's economy in the shortest time possible. The theme of the summit, Unlocking Nigeria's Economic Growth, the role of the public-private partnerships in delivering the renewed hope agenda, is apt and timely. Government has limited fiscal space and on its own is not in a position to finance the critical trade-enabling infrastructure that will spur inclusive and sustainable economic development. It is in this context that we're encouraged by the steps the federal government of Nigeria, under the leadership of President Tinubu, has undertaken and implemented. These bold market reforms have positioned the country well to withstand external shocks. It is such market-friendly policies that will make Nigeria an even more attractive investment destination. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to acknowledge the presence of the head of state, ably represented by His Excellency Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON, at the summit today. This is a clear testament and demonstration of the commitment that the federal government of Nigeria places on PPPs as a critical enabler towards unlocking development impact. We thank you, Your Excellency, for making time from your very busy schedule to be with us today. With this clear demonstration of commitment from the federal government of Nigeria, the onus is now on the development financial institution to complement government's efforts and scale up our intervention. We too need to be bold and put at the disposal of the private sector our full array of products and services in order to draw in their much-needed investments into Nigeria. It is through working closely with the private sector that we can access their deep pools of capital, tap into the entrepreneurial drive and innovation to create quality jobs, boost exports, generate foreign exchange earnings, and ensure overall economic development. So this begs the question, what are we at Afreximbank doing to support Nigeria to drive the adoption of PPPs? Afreximbank has been active in Nigeria since its inception. Afreximbank has disbursed over $50 billion in Nigeria, catalyzing investments in various sectors, including energy, transport and logistics, manufacturing, healthcare, and financial services. Afreximbank is not only financing third-party projects on the continent, but we're also venturing upstream to co-create, develop, and implement strategic initiatives on its own account in order to bridge these critical infrastructure gaps. Some of the PPP projects the bank has developed on its own account are here in Nigeria. These include the recently commissioned African Medical Center of Excellence, located here in Abuja. This specialized healthcare facility is focused on delivering world-class care in oncology, hematology, cardiovascular care, and general healthcare. The facility, initially with 170 beds, plans to expand to 500 beds and features a stem cell laboratory, 50 stem cell isolation rooms, 5 theaters, and a 20-bed intensive care unit. The AMC aims to reduce medical tourism by providing advanced procedures and treatments, as well as tackling the healthcare brain drain and create employment opportunities. When fully developed, this investment is expected to be just under $1 billion. The bank has also operationalized the African Quality Assurance Center in Ogun State. The center is designed to ease quality infrastructure constraints of exporting agricultural and value-added commodities into regional and international markets. Similar projects are being developed on the bank's account in Imo State and Kaduna. The development of commissioning of these projects would not have been possible without the support of the federal government of Nigeria and the federal states involved. The development and implementation of these projects is a clear manifestation to any astute investor that PPPs work and that Nigeria is ready for business. The demonstration effects from these projects will act as a lightning rod to attract both local and global investors to enter into public-private partnerships with Nigeria. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in order to ensure that these project developers and sponsors can access funds from Afreximbank, I would like to highlight 3 products that they can tap into to enhance the likelihood of success in the development and implementation of PPP projects. The first one is project preparation. We at Afreximbank have noted that the challenge confronting the continent is not lack of funding, but it's the lack of well-prepared investment-ready projects. To this end, Afreximbank established a project preparation facility. The project preparation facility supports project developers and sponsors to advance projects from concept stage to bankability. The facility is available to both the public and private sectors. In collaboration with the federal government and federal states, we are keen to support them in the preparation of priority projects. And upon attainment of bankability, these projects can be presented to the private sector for them to consider in investing. One other initiative that I would like to highlight is with regards to the Intra-African Trade Engineering Procurement and Construction Initiative. As you may be aware, the continent's annual infrastructure expenditure is approximately $60 billion, the bulk of which is awarded to external contractors, comprising of established foreign companies, predominantly Chinese, Indian, and European. These companies have an edge over African competitors as they are usually backed by the domestic ECAs and global banks. We firmly believe in homegrown approaches to tackling Africa's intractable challenges by championing African solutions to African problems. It is on this basis that the bank has created the EPC initiative. Through this approach, not common in many other regions, but often neglected in our own, the concerted effort by the bank has facilitated the award of EPC contracts worth over $12 billion in just 5 years to African EPC contractors. Esteemed entities such as El Swidi, Orascom, Arab Contractors, Hassan Alam, Motor Angel, Koira, Gaita, and Kojeb International SA are some of the few to have benefited from this particular intervention. The EPC initiative is poised to set new benchmarks and catalyze African-led investment for African-led growth. We welcome Nigerian EPC contractors to partner with the bank and access this facility to support their participation in PPP projects. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, I would like to highlight that no one stakeholder can bridge Nigeria's infrastructure deficit on their own. The PPP approach is the ideal path to be pursued, as it brings together all key stakeholders in both the public and private sectors, working together in a coordinated manner. On our end, as financial institutions, we aim to collaborate and complement each other and leverage each other's strengths to support the Icrc advanced projects. I believe that by doing so, we'll have played our catalytical role in unlocking Nigeria's potential and delivering the government's renewed hope agenda in a timely manner. Last but not least, Afreximbank will be hosting its annual meetings in Abuja next week from the 25th to 28th June 2025. We welcome you all to attend this event. I thank you all for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zito. Your Excellency is very distinguished, ladies and gentlemen. Because of a few things ongoing now, I've been directed that it will be very, very important that we bring up the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And so, Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, representing the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, please welcome the Vice President His Excellency Kashim Shettima, Grand Commander of the Order of the Niger, Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Your Excellency.
Kindly sit down, please. Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Cross River State, Senator Prince Basi Otu. Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Ondo State, Mr. Laki Orimishan Aida Tiwa. Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Kano State, Comrade Aminu Abdul Salam Gordo. My red cap is an invitation for you to come on board. So, Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Jigawa State, Engineer Aminu Usman Rola. My colleagues, members of the Federal Executive Council present here. Director General, Icrc, Dr. Jobson Osiodion Iwalepo, who has prepared himself all his life for this job. I went through your CV and I'm mightily proud of you. You have garnered a lot of master's degrees, MIT, MBA, MPA, so many. Members of the diplomatic corps present here. Director General, Regional Director, Central Africa and Anglo-West Africa on International Finance Corporation, Dr. Dalia Khalifa. Vice President, Private Sector, Infrastructure and Industrialization of the AfDB, Mr. Solomon Kwaino. I told you you are a Ghanaian by your name. You said you are from Ondo State. Director of Project Preparation Finance, Afreximbank, Mr. Zito Alpayo. The Accountant General of the Federation, Shamsuddin Babatunde. Heads of government agencies and parastatals present here. Top government officials, members of the fourth asset of the realm, honored guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Each of us here is aware that we cannot build a 21st century economy on 20th century infrastructure. This fact invites us not only to compare notes, but to co-create solutions anchored in the unique realities of our nation. The public sector of every nation is a mirror of the private. Ours has a long-standing history of collaboration to deliver value, and I'm privileged to welcome you to this memorable occasion. The old model of public-only infrastructure funding is no longer sustainable. Our national aspirations far exceed what public budgets alone can deliver. That is why we must innovate and why we must work together. We are not looking for investors to carry burdens, no. We are offering opportunities to create value. We seek long-term partners who are ready to help us bridge our infrastructure gap with purpose and precision. When we took charge over 2 years ago, we knew that a functional relationship between the public and private sectors will be the magic wand of transformation. That is what we are committed to, and that is what we are doing. We have strengthened the Icrc and enhanced its capacity to regulate, superintend, and de-risk PPP transactions. We are determined to deliver infrastructure that is both sustainable and inclusive. Our economic reforms have laid a stable foundation, from the removal of the unsustainable subsidies to the liberalization of the foreign exchange regime and the optimization of government revenues. We have acted boldly and responsibly. We are streamlining bureaucratic bottlenecks and improving transparency in our project pipelines. We have aligned our processes with global best practices and investor expectations. The National Integrated Infrastructure Master Plan 2020 to 2043 remains our blueprint. It is our compass to raise infrastructure stock from the current 30 to 35% of GDP to at least 70% by the year 2043. But blueprints do not build roads. Policies alone do not generate megawatts. Your Excellencies, distinguished gentlemen, these goals require collective action, and that is the focus of the present administration. To our private sector partners, we ask not just for capital, but for commitment. Nigeria offers scale, 230 million black people. Nigeria offers demand and returns like no other African market. 1 out of every 4 black men is a Nigerian. And by 2050, Nigeria will surpass the United States as the 3rd most populous nation on earth, and our population will hit 440 million. But we need more than investment. We need innovation. We need efficiency. And above all, we need integrity. I urge you to look beyond the risks and recognize the immense opportunities to shape a nation that is not just rising, but ready to rise. The projects that emerge from this summit must not gather dust on paper or linger in bureaucratic limbo. We will fast-track approvals for viable projects. We will ensure coordination across ministries, departments, and agencies to enable swift implementation. We do this because we know that what matters to the average Nigerian is not promises, but power in their homes, roads to their farms, access to clean water, modern hospitals, and quality schools. We must build, we must deliver, and we must do it together. Your Excellencies, distinguished participants, Nigeria does not lack potential. What we have lacked at times is alignment of purpose and the courage to act decisively. And in President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you have an ally who understands your language, who speaks the language of business, who grew up in that ecosystem and rose to the pinnacle of his career in mobile Nigeria. Today, let us chart a new path, not just as government and investors, but as partners in nation building. Let this summit be remembered not for fine speeches. We have had very fine speeches for the past couple of decades, but for bankable projects, signed deals, and enduring progress. On behalf of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, on behalf of the 230 million people of the greatest black nation on earth, I declare the Nigeria 2025 Nigeria Public-Private Partnership Summit open. May your deliberations be fruitful, your commitments firm, and your contributions lasting. Finally, I want to assure our esteemed guests that Nigeria has turned the corner. We have crossed the Rubicon, and we are on a path to sustain peace and development. Nigeria is ready and open to business. Thank you, and may God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and may God bless us.
Thank you very much, sir. We crave the indulgence of Mr. Vice President to please now invite all the governors present, the deputy governors present for photograph, all the members of the Federal Executive Council.
We also want to welcome all the heads of agencies and the DG of the Icrc to please join our Vice President on stage for a group picture. Please note that immediately after the group photograph, there will be a tour strictly with those who have been called on stage. The rest of us, we will please be seated briefly. I would like to please ask that you adhere to these instructions.
Once again, this is for the governors, deputy governors, all the members of the Federal Executive Council and heads of agencies, NDAs present. After this, as you've heard, there will be a brief tour with only these persons going with the Vice President. The tour will be led by Dr. James Shindi, CEO, Brevity Anderson. He's on standby.
And to remind us that even after this tour and this short break that we'll have, there'll be panel sessions talking about leveraging public-private partnerships to unlock Nigeria's potential and also looking at innovative financing to leverage PPPs. Please to be a part of these panel sessions as we've carefully selected the best of the best to come and speak about this, and we'll also afford you the opportunity to ask questions.
At the panel discussion, you would have the opportunity to also hear from some of the governors, the deputy governors, and heads of agencies here. It will be a very, very, very wonderful session. You don't want to miss a part of it. Once again, please note, after this photograph, we should all remain seated. Only those on stage with the Vice President will approach the tour shortly.
May we all please rise?
Invited also is a former and a pioneer Director General of Icrc to join the photograph. We now take the national.
We'll now allow our dignitaries to please go on the tour. For the rest of the audience, we'd like to please crave your indulgence that we all please be seated as the Vice President
Welcome back from the live telecast. We'll now continue with our regular programs. Stay tuned.